Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. This is Hybrid Plus channel, and in this video I want to talk about what is torque, horsepower and speed. The first slide I want to talk about the torque. Actually, when you give the force to the object it can be your car that the engine is producing the force, or it can be the wrench or even the table at your room. That initial force we call it as a torque. So let's see what is the definition of it. It's kind of force that makes an object to rotate or to move. And torque prepare your movement force towards forward at the beginning. And when it's stationary, it's a measure of force that can cause an object to rotate about an axis. And it's a force cause an object to accelerate in linear kinematics, related to the vehicles also. So what is the kinematics? It's without consideration of their associated physical properties and the forces acting on them. So it's a definition of the kinematics. Actually, there is a little bit different between torque and the horsepower. In here we want to talk about the horsepower. It's applying the torque in over time, it's called horsepower. Actually, it keeps your vehicle to move forward continually. And torque prepare your first movement, and the motion horsepower help you to keep going, the power an engine is producing. Like at the initial force, that time we call it as a torque, because a stationary object you want to rotate it, but when it moves, okay, at the speed of 20, 30 or maybe 100 any speed, in that time torque applying over time, in that time we call it as a horsepower. So it's slightly different between the torque and the horsepower. It's related to the time, initial time, and when it's in the motion. In that time the name of it also it will be changed, because the force applying will be changed. That's why. So I said about the definition of it also, as you can see. But for the next slide you will see with the two more photos what is exactly different between of them, and maybe in that time you can notice what is the difference exactly between each one of these two. In here, if you see, we have one wrench, and there is a formula of it to calculate the force. As you can see, the distance of the length of wrench is coming increasing and decreasing. When it's become increasing, that time you can produce more torque. But when the distance between the nuts and the hand is less, in that time you can produce less torque. So it's related to your vehicle also. When you want to produce more power, one of them is to make a little bit bigger crankshaft and the piston. At the right side we have comparison between 1 horsepower and the 2 horsepower. At the first time we can say as a torque, but with a different number. And as you can see, 2 horsepower 75 kg, it's carrying much more faster. According to the number also you can notice about it. But what is the difference? It means that in the motion it has a 2 horsepower. So at the initial, as I said, at the initial it will be torque, but when it moves it will be as a horsepower, applying torque over time. So this slide I want to talk about the speed. It's the rate of change of position of an object in any direction. Speed is the distance an object moves in a given amount of time. The distance is never negative. For example, if a train takes 1 hour to travel 100 kilometers, it has a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. Like you move 100 meters as a speed of 100 kilometers in 1 second. A speed is simply how fast you are traveling, and this car is traveling at the speed of 20 meters per second. For the velocity is a speed in a given direction. This car is traveling at a velocity of 20 meters per second east. So it's the difference between the speed and the definition of the speed with the velocity. Thank you to watch my video, and if you like, please subscribe my channel and press the bell button.